Let's have a conversation. Tell me what you think about the issues of the world. What kind of spice you wanna be? Tell me where you wanna travel. Do you believe in luxury? What's your hidden passion? What makes you so unique? Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole.
Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. In recognition of National Financial Literacy Month, Cora Fulmore, founder of The Counselor's Corner, shares information and tips about credit scores, consumer protection laws, and student loan options. Let's listen in on the conversation about financial empowerment. So, Cora, welcome.
Thank you.
As founder of The Counselor's Corner, you know that April is Financial Literacy Month.
It is.
And financial literacy has to deal with how people earn money, how they save it, they spend it, invest it, and give it. And tell me what you think the importance of Financial Literacy Month is.
Nicole, there's so much that I think is important about financial literacy. You know, we think it's critical that people understand what is their money script. Everybody has one. And that's the thing that's being played in your mind over and over again about how you spend, how you save, and how you handle your money. So people really need to identify what is their money script. And once they identify it, then you can start shaping it into something better.
Okay.
Shaping it into a program. If your money script says that you don't pay your bills on time, that it really doesn't matter, they get their money when I get mine, then if you change that money script, then you can improve your overall credit standing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's delve into that credit standing piece.
Sure.
What's the importance of having good credit?
Good credit is really important because you know the better your credit is, the better your credit score is, the higher your score is, the less money that you'll pay overall. So with good credit or good credit scores, you pay a lower interest. And it really makes a difference. It's a difference between paying 3% on a car loan or paying 29% on a car loan. And you would think the latter is not the way people would want to go.
Right.
But there are a lot of individuals paying 20, 23, 24, and 29% in this market when you can get a car loan for as little as 1% or less than 1% with good credit.
That is unbelievable. In 2017, that somebody's paying 20, 27, 29% on an auto loan.
Yeah. You know, there's an old saying, what you don't know won't hurt you. And that's probably the biggest story that's ever been told. What you don't know will hurt you. So I'm glad that you're doing this show because it gives consumers an opportunity to find out more about their overall financial position. It's something that we all need to know about and need to understand credit and all of that stuff as well.
Right. So what are some credit suggestions that you might give to the viewers?
The very first thing that I would do is get a copy of your credit report. I think that's really important. It's real simple. And I'm not talking about going to some of the sites that we're seeing that's advertised like Credit Karma and many of the other sites that offer a free credit report. They are free.
Right.
However, what they do is collect the data and then solicit consumers beyond their ability to resist. So I suggest, and most counselors like me suggest that consumers go to a federal government site that is indeed free. It doesn't provide a credit score, but you can pay for it, and it's called creditreport.com. Annualcreditreport.com, and it's a free site, and it's the site that I would suggest consumers go to.
Okay, and they can get that report from all three of the credit bureaus?
Absolutely. Once a year, they can pull a free copy from all three bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, through annualcreditreport.com. And it's well worth it because the other thing that particular report provides, it's what's called trended credit data. Trended credit data is what a lot of mortgage companies, Fannie Mae and also Freddie Mac now is looking at your trended credit data on how you've paid your creditors over a period of time.
So
What
they're
has
looking
been
at
the
that
trend?
history.
Absolutely, that history, and you can see that on an annual credit report.
This segment is brought to you by Brown & Brown Attorneys at Law. Stay tuned for more conversations.
Absolutely, that history, you can see that on an annual credit report.
What would be another suggestion that you would have?
After pulling the credit report, the next thing is to do a complete evaluation of the report. It's quite easy for files to be confused. It's quite easy for there to be incorrect information, either an address or trade line information that's incorrect. By evaluating, you're going to determine whether or not that information is true and accurate. And if it's not, then you have the opportunity under the Fair Credit Reporting Act to then dispute any information that's incorrect on your credit report. And I think it's really important because out of 10 people, at least 5 individuals have incorrect information on their credit profile.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
So that Fair Credit Reporting Act, that's one of those consumer protection laws, right?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
The Fair Credit Reporting Act is to protect all of us. It provides us with free access to our credit report if we've been denied access to credit. So in addition to the one free pull per year, if you've been denied credit from a vendor, then you can obtain a free copy under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. It also gives you the opportunity then to dispute any inaccuracies under your credit profile. And the bureaus have to, by law, investigate it so that they can get the information updated.
Now let's stop right there because there are a number of credit repair
Yes.
companies that are being
Yeah.
advertised in the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
Pay $199, pay $299, and we'll
Absolutely.
repair your credit. Are these companies doing anything that the consumer cannot do themselves?
They're not.
Okay.
And I think what happens out of fear, we don't feel that we can do it and we should pay someone to help us. And I'm not against paying a reasonable rate if it is reasonable. However, there are some companies that are absolutely ripping consumers off. And so do your due diligence before you decide to pay a company on a monthly basis where they're automatically pulling money out of your checking account or against a credit card every single month. It's not worth it. And any consumer with the right counseling agency to provide in-depth counseling to them can do this same thing.
Right.
So there's really no need to go to a credit repair company. And often what they're doing is disputing items that are legitimate items so that it'll come off temporarily and then reappear back on the credit profile.
Right.
So be careful. And they charge a lot.
And the money that you're paying that credit repair agency monthly, you could be using towards paying off your debt.
Paying off the debt for sure, because most creditors are willing to negotiate. Most creditors will communicate with the consumer. We as consumers really need to take advantage of what's available to us and do the right thing. Call up that creditor and start the communication going. Open up the lines of communication so that they will know that you're willing to pay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Are there any other consumer protection acts that we should be aware
There
of? or laws that
are.
we should be
There
aware of?
are.
Okay.
The Equal Credit Opportunity Act. Under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, it's an act that protects us from discrimination on being given the opportunity to take out a loan. So know that we are protected. If we are denied access to credit, the credit company must tell you why. What was the reason for the denial? The other one that I think is extremely important is the Fair Credit Billing Act. Under the Fair Credit Billing Act, it really deals with credit card companies and if there's an error or a dispute on a debt that's been charged to our credit card. And I think that's so important because many of us are doing online shopping and there's often a dispute when we return something, they don't take it off of our credit card immediately.
Right.
And there's a law that protects us called the Fair Credit Billing Act.
That's good to know.
And under that act, once you dispute, you have the right to dispute, first of all, and once you dispute, it starts certain dates that the creditor has to abide with. And if they don't, then they get in trouble.
Okay,
Yeah.
good deal. Great information.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a pause right
Sure.
here. Stay tuned for more conversations. This segment is brought to you by Brown & Brown Attorneys at Law. Stay tuned for more conversations. Welcome back to Conversations with Nicole. If you're just joining us, my guest today is Ms. Cora Fulmore of the Counselor's Corner. Today we're talking about financial literacy, and before the break we were talking about consumer protection laws. We want to delve more into credit though. Let's talk about credit scores. What's the importance of having a credit score? What's a good credit score?
Well, it depends on what product you're going after and what interest rate you're looking for. I think that's the biggest mystery of the world is credit scores and what makes up a credit score and all of that.
I think it's rocket science.
Yeah, really, because the actual algorithm that goes into determining a person's credit score is not truly revealed to consumers. So we know that there are some basic factors that are important to building a good credit score. How long you've had a credit presence, that's like your credit history, how you've paid your bills on time or you've not paid it on time, your pursuit of credit, the mix of credit, who you do business with, and those are some of the factors that are important to credit scoring. But if you had to say, what is the range? And that's probably a better question here.
Okay.
The range would be on the low end, it's 350, and the high end, it's 850. Now, I've seen individuals with no credit score at all, and it's been for various reasons why there wasn't a credit score. But, you know, on an average, for some of the consumers that I've worked with, most of them are trying to build a better credit presence, and they've had fairly low credit scores in the 500s and 600s, but our goal is to improve it and make it better.
What would be a way to build a better credit score?
The number one reason is to pay your bills on time. If you pay your bills on time, if you're late, bring them up to date and pay it on time. The next point would be to not overextend the credit utilization. The typical in order to have a better credit score, you should never charge more than 30 to 40% of your credit limit. So if you got a $1,000 limit, never charge more than $400.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other tips for either building or maintaining a
Yes, there
credit
are
score?
some basic things other than the two that I've mentioned. It would be to look at who you're doing business with. It's recommended that you get a better credit profile and a better credit score if you're primarily working with banks and credit unions. So we normally recommend that individuals go there versus a buy here, pay here place, or even a finance company. Yeah, or even a payday lender. It's best that you go to the bank or a credit union.
And what about types of credit? Because there's installment credit, there's
Absolutely.
revolving credit. Should you have a combination of that?
A good healthy mix is always good. Not to have more than, my recommendation for the years that I've been counseling is not to have more than 2 to 3 revolving. And if you're going to have an installment loan, that installment would either be a car loan or a mortgage.
Okay. Now, speaking of installment loans, student loans are also
Yes.
an installment loan.
Absolutely.
And I know that a number of students also, when they graduate from college, they have that student loan debt that they have to try to manage.
Yes, yes. do you mind if I talk about
No.
how to not get in debt?
Not at all.
Because it's really important that you know before you owe. I think that's critical because and a lot of individuals think that they have to get out and get a student loan. But there are so many opportunities for scholarships and grants if you start early on that you can get. And we suggest that you exhaust all of the grants, all of the scholarships that you could possibly.
All of those free money opportunities.
Absolutely. Before you start borrowing money.
Right.
Once you've done that, then the next step would be to look at federal loans. Government-backed loans for a lot of reasons. Not only you might have a much better interest rate on those loans, but the loans may be subsidized, which means no interest or is being charged to you, and if it is, then it's being paid for by the federal government.
Okay.
So it makes a lot of good sense to do something like that, and then after you've gotten all of the scholarships, all of the grants, and you've had to go for federal loans, the private loans would be your last resort.
Okay.
And be very careful about that. Private loans are credit score driven, and that's important to know. Not everybody that applies for a private loan will get a private loan. You may need a co-signer for a private loan, and be careful if you're asked to co-sign on a private loan, because then it obligates you to the debt and it's very difficult to get out of that debt. Now, once you've done all of that and you've gotten the student loan and you graduated and now it's time to pay, but there's no job or no job that can offer you the money that you need in order to start paying the loans. Most students will look at deferring the loan even further, and there are a lot of ways to be able to defer the loan. And talking with a loan counselor is really the right thing to do, because that loan counselor can help direct you through all of the options that are available to you.
What are some of the options to students once they have these student loans after they graduate?
There are a lot of options, Nicole, and it really depends on the type of product you have. It also depends on your family size. It depends on your income and your ability to pay.
Right.
So if you have no ability to pay, there are options where they can get your payments down to either $0 or $5 I've seen.
And that's typically with the federal loans.
Yes, that's primarily with the federal loan. It's very difficult to get a no payment requirement on a private loan.
Okay.
Private loans are handled totally different. So all of the options that I'm going to talk about are really related to federal loans. There's also an income-based repayment plan, the IBR, which is a very popular product, which is outside of the other program that I identified, but it is also based on your income, which can vary the amount of payment that an individual pay. Or the standard repayment plan is also available. I think it's really critical, though, that we know that if you have a student loan, don't run from it, that there are options out there to not have a major impact on your credit score like a default would be. So start making some arrangements, even if that arrangement, once negotiated, is only $5 a month.
At least you're contributing something
Absolutely,
towards it.
absolutely. And that isn't enough. I don't want to imply that $5 is a great payment amount.
Right. But it's something.
It is something. It is a place to start. And by doing that, it does not have a negative impact on your credit or your credit score. And I think what a lot of students have done, they run away from it because they don't have the full amount, and they need to know that there's an option there. And the last thing that I want to mention, I know we're about to run out of time,
You're good.
but I want to mention the forgiveness program. That is an option, and it's available to individuals who have student loans if they meet a certain criteria. And if you go to the Department of Education's website, it actually identifies those criterias, pretty clear, cut, dry, to the point on what would make you eligible for that particular program. And I do know individuals who are participating in the forgiveness program even today, folks who work for nonprofit organizations, the teachers, we have police
certain
officers.
professions
Yes,
make you eligible for
absolutely,
the forgiveness program.
absolutely. And if you go to the Department of Education, it provides all of that information, but also health problems. If you can document that you're not able to work, then those health problems could make you eligible for the forgiveness program as well.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
a wealth of knowledge.
It's a lot.
Yes,
It's an awful lot.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
great, Cora. Anything else you want to share with us in closing?
Well, you know, it is Financial Literacy Month, and I think the most important thing is what you're doing is to empower consumers. And I thank you for doing that, because it's really what's needed. It's important that we educate and empower consumers across the country. And thank you for bringing us on to talk about this.
I appreciate you
Yes.
for being with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Conversations with Nicole. Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Nicole, where we connect the community through conversations. For more information on this or previous shows, visit Conversations with Nicole on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I am Nicole Everett, and we'll see you next time.
Conversations with Nicole. Come and have a little talk with me. Conversations with Nicole. Come on and speak to me. Conversations with Nicole. Talk about the issues of the world. Conversations with Nicole. Have a conversation with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole.
Conversations with Nicole, where we're connecting the community through conversations. Thursday at 11:30 a.m. on Fox Tallahassee.